Everyone remembers, right? If you've been watching my channel for a while, maybe not the new people, but sometime in 2024, I made a video that I hardly have any friends. And for years, I was very bitter and cynical about this simply because I gave my whole heart to people. And for years, I blamed them rather than myself when people would just up and disappear because I'd give my whole heart to these people and would be grateful and have gratitude they were in my life. In return, they would get what they want and disappear, or they would want nothing from you but disappear and just not be honest and say, I just don't think we're compatible. Don't get me wrong, I've done this to people as well. Then there's always the ones who befriend you with the nefarious hope that you'll change. I've actually had people who wanted me to change, and then when I didn't, they switched up because they wanted to stifle my growth. The photo on the screen is one of my favorite, and the reason I wanted to start with this is because this was my lone wolf phase, and I'll have a wolf show up in a minute. I've already discussed this on the Evergreen Wave, and this is technically content that for the future will go on my backup channel, the Evergreen Wave. Now back to this channel. Here's the thing. This was my lone wolf phase, my cynicism, my why is it that every time I try to make good friends, people either say, well, I'll be your friend on this condition, meaning I have to sign up for some stupid social media that I didn't want, hard pass, or you have to volunteer what I want you to. So go do charity in a place I don't desire to, hard pass. No, that's actually happened to me. Or I'll give my all and they just disappear. I took it personal for years because I put in the work to make meaningful relationships and no one wanted to be around me. Loneliness was a bitter pill for me to swallow at first because my attitude was, with all the giving and the love that I have to give, why do people act and react this way? Then I did something that I never thought I would do because I just needed to blame other people. At some point in this stage, after my University of Washington graduation, it could have been before that, this was the revelation to me to be able to go to school and live off my Chapter 33 GI Bill. I began to blame myself. Because up until the present, now if I catch it, I just cut you off. I had a habit of giving in to people and giving into friendships with people who 98% of the time I knew weren't best for me. And it ran the gambit from we're the same race and need to stick together to deep down, I know you're not as mean as you want people to be, and because I can be a little standoffish based on how I was treated, but I'm getting a little bit better at that now. Still don't think your coworkers are your friends, and I still keep my distance in that regard. But other than that, I do value friendships. This is also the stage where I did something that I don't think is radical now, but seemed radical at the time. This is the phase where 2 years prior, when I was 28, because I'm 30 in this photograph, I started going and eating in restaurants by myself and going out by myself on a regular basis and not having any qualms about it. And at first, even I thought it was a little bit weird. Like, I could have just stayed home all day, ate popcorn, did my thing. Then in time, I started going to the gym by myself, going to parks by myself, doing volunteer work. This seemed to be the golden age in my life. And it seemed like by the time I hit 30, which was this photo, this was Thanksgiving or a little bit after Thanksgiving, around the Christmas holidays of 2010. Shortly after we got Pluto, we'd had him less than a month, and I felt like my family was fulfilled. I started to embrace the lone wolf, but not for reasons people thought. It started to feel good to not be around people. After my initial denial, I took responsibility for the bad things I did to people and the bad things they did to me, which caused my cynicism. And what I mean by this is that I embraced being lonely. Like, I enjoyed my time with myself more than 90% of the time, because it gave me time to reflect and think on the people that I allowed to come in my life to make me bitter, because I did it to myself. Here's why this came up. I started watching videos at the end of last year, and even now I see people trying to grow their channels who are sub to me. And I did the Black and Asian Solidarity series, and I felt like only maybe one person took it seriously. And I get that people are busy with their lives, but for the first time I didn't take it too personally. And that is growth. That I felt like I'm out in this whole big world by myself, and I had nobody. We need human connection, okay? This ideal that you can be the lone wolf, it's just not gonna work. We were built as a species to need people. But this is what that loneliness throughout my 30s taught me and made me stronger. Once I took responsibility for the fact that I allowed myself to enter into bad friendships, I also empowered myself by telling myself it's okay to rebuild and to start all over again. And to keep starting over when people become negative to me, because I've still cut off people within the last few years. Because once you continue to demonstrate things, and if I tell you something and you do a complete 180, I don't have time for this. Even people now who claim to be friends with me, I have to make the effort to call them, and they don't call me. Then, oh my God, I haven't seen or heard from you in a while. And I look at them crazy, like, you have my phone number if you wanted to really call me. In other words, make the effort you could. For the first time, I don't take it personal that they don't make that effort. And don't particularly care if they don't call me again. Now, that sounds cynical, it's not. I chased people, and that is my fault, but I'm not going to do it anymore. If people flake out on you, I'm asking you all who are my listeners in 2025. Again, I don't believe in resolutions. I'm just telling you to do this in small steps. Don't take it personally. Just get your small, intimate group of people who want to go out with you, or go by yourself. You can't realistically not live your life because other people don't want to be around you. I can remember going on trips throughout Washington in a group full of people, and I had no one with me, and sitting and talking to people who showed up to these different events. I'm always baffled by people who will say, oh, you wouldn't eat by yourself. What, am I supposed to starve because I don't have friends? Because there are people who take it to that extreme. They won't leave their house at all. Yet you all see me at the farmer's market. You see me going to different markets and different events by myself. I'm going to live my life. But what I am telling you, if you're listening to me right now, and you do not have a lot of friends, it's okay. Because what God is telling you, if you want to call it the universe, that's you. I call it God because that's what I truly believe it all is. If that makes me sound self-righteous, you can kindly get off my video, because I'm not apologizing for that. 2025 is the year that I'm done apologizing. Really, I've been done since before I hit 40, but we're not going to go there. Sometimes when people disappear, their disappearance is to your benefit. Why is loneliness a bad thing when people are going to be fake with you anyway? Again, this is not a cynical argument, because we are a species who crave human interaction. But what I'm saying is, you can bask in loneliness while seeking the correct interactions. If you're a person right now that is lonely, my advice to you is to rebuild the organic way, meaning do so in a meaningful way that's going to be healthy to you. Some people were meant to come in your life for a season. Some were meant to come temporarily, leave, and come back. But let's be honest, a good chunk of people in this generation, even the ones who are not medically diagnosed as narcissism, have narcissistic tendencies, and they only care about themselves. And in the process, you're left deflated because you really want to be friends with them and they just don't get it. In this mode, you have to do like I did and take responsibility for the fact that you attracted a certain type of person. Because if a certain type of person or people keep coming in your life, it's something that they can sense about you. Whether it's something came out your mouth, or it's your body language, or your energy. They sense that they can come in and play these games with you. I won't say what circumstance, but I get people mad at me now that want to get close to me, but I won't allow them. And in a lot of instances, it's because they opened their mouth and said the wrong thing. And I'm like, oh, that's back from one of my 20s. This is somebody who's not going to grow up, so I'm not going to waste my time. That's not cynical. That's just realization. When I said that video, I mean that I hardly have any friends. I sounded sad. And in some sense, it does sadden me, because you can't live a lone wolf life. But what I am going to say is, if you know most people around you are fake, be happy that they've done you a favor by not contacting you all of the time and going no contact. And in that process, I don't care if it was a romantic relationship. I don't care if they're your blood relations. I don't care if y'all were such good friends since kindergarten up to 12th grade, that they feel like family to you and it feels like a betrayal. The fact that you make the effort and they don't reciprocate is in itself betrayal. So this is really a follow-up to I hardly have any friends. If this is you right now, please accept loneliness. Loneliness means when they go no contact, you don't go chase them. Loneliness means going to sitting in a restaurant by yourself and enjoying a meal in peace, to give yourself time to contemplate your surroundings and the people who are happy. Look at their body language. Get a whiff of what actual happiness is when you go out by yourself. But also pay attention to people who are pretending to be happy with others when they're really not. If this is you, embrace that loneliness, get out of your denial, and see how you contribute. Then rebuild yourself back to a self-respect that allows you to get into healthier relationships. Because when this is happening to you, you are doing something, even if it's not on purpose, to bring that on yourself. That's harsh reality. This loneliness I felt feels good because I feel like in 2024, and thanks to Mr. Burns, if he ever listens to this, because he started bringing people together. Lots of people he's introduced me to have been very kind, gracious, loving people. Some I can do without, but I won't go into who is who. The ones who know I admire and respect them, I sub to, I support and give all my love. There's people that I've found that Mr. Burns has also taken on. You wouldn't think, but on the internet of all places, I found more people with whom I feel respect me than people I grew up with or people I'm around here now in Washington who claim to be friends. And yet they know my husband got injured and they don't bother to call or anything. But I've grown so resilient to that type of rejection that I'm no longer cynical and bitter about it. But in a very stoic way, my attitude is keep that energy when something happens to you. Not because I'm going to, out of spite, not help those people, but because I'm not going to go all out of my way to be entirely too gracious to get nothing in return. Friendships, relations with family, and romantic relationships should be reciprocal. They should not ever be transactional. Never forget that.